Now, bear with me here as we bring this course to a close. So, we're just going to do a little recap of all the stuff that you've learned. There's a lot of information here, but you will recognize it all, thankfully. So, let's just take a breath and zoom out for a second. You absorbed a ton of knowledge, a ton of direction. We've covered a lot about emergency savings, what they are, why they matter, how to build them, and how to actually use them. So let's just recap it all together. So the first section we talked about was savings definitions. We started out with the basics of what even is an emergency fund. We talked about emergency savings looking like a safety net, not just for the big dramatic events in life, but even for the unexpected stuff that can derail your momentum. A job loss, a car repair, a sudden medical bill. You've probably spoken with some of your peers about many different types that could be applied to this. Now, we also defined what actually counts as an emergency. Because if you don't define it in advance, your emotions will define it for you in the moment. You need to be able to differentiate between what is normal spending and what is an emergency spend. And we did see some pretty sobering and realistic stats. How many people don't have savings at all, and how common these emergencies really are. It's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when. And that's why the time to start preparing is now. You're not alone if you feel a little scared about savings. As you learned from the statistics, most people are. Now, the second area that we focused on was savings purpose. So this was why savings matter so much. We talked about what happens when you don't have them, how the debt spiral starts shooting upwards, how stress piles on, and how one unexpected bill can shake your whole financial world. But as down as that is, we also did see the upside. With savings in place, you're able to recover fast. You're able to say no to panic, and you're even able to stay in control during hard times. The big idea here is that there is real power in having margin, having some cushion, or having some space. The purpose of savings isn't to hoard and collect as much as you possibly can. It's actually to protect your peace. That has to be the purpose. You need to like doing it. Next, we covered how much to actually save. You know, this is the million-dollar question, so to speak, of how much do I actually put away into my savings? We talked about how, well, the ideal might be 3 to 6 months of expenses. The best place to start is actually with small beginnings. You need to start somewhere. We looked at how to calculate your past expenses and your basic essentials so you can build a savings target that actually makes sense for your life. What your friend might do for savings probably won't work for you, and what you do for savings probably won't work for your friend. It has to be unique to your situation. We also reminded ourselves that progress beats perfection. A $300 fund is still better than no fund at all. The fourth thing that we had talked about is how to build your fund. This is getting into the how, because knowing you need savings is one thing, but building it from scratch is a whole nother challenge. We covered practical tools like starting small, creating habits and building the habits, leveraging and using technology to automate your savings, because it's better to use tools that are available than not to, and tracking your progress in unique, different, and good ways. We also talked about using windfalls, those awesome surprise money moments like tax refunds or bonuses or birthday gifts, as a tool to accelerate you through savings and not to hold you back or just spend on something that you want in the moment that you might not even need a year later. We also talked about saving through your paycheck by automatically splitting deposit. It takes the mental effort out of it, just turns into something that you don't have to worry about. That whole how to build section was about building a rhythm that works for you. If your system fits your life and motivates you within your life, you're more likely to stick with it. The fifth and final area that we dove into was where to spend your money. We talked about where to keep your emergency fund and when to actually use it. We broke down the pros and cons of all the different popular storage options between high interest savings accounts, a bank account, prepaid cards, and even the classic cash under the mattress. We looked at the importance of accessibility with boundaries. You want to be able to reach the money fast, but maybe not reach it too fast. There should be some friction, some resistance that makes you take a pause so that you can protect yourself against yourself and actually think, do I need this? We talked about how to avoid temptation by keeping your fund out of sight, using separate accounts and even renaming it things like Peace of Mind Fund or Rainy Day Fund. Some creative things that remind you of your goal and what it's for. But we also reminded ourselves, don't be afraid to use it. It's there for a purpose and it's there within your plan. If you've defined what counts as a real emergency, then use your fund with confidence. That's what it's there for. Just remember to rebuild it right after using whatever tools are available to you. Okay, I promise we're almost done. This is the ending slide, and then you won't have to listen to me again unless you really want to and you want to come back to this, which I do suggest you do because it's always good to get a refresher. But let's end with two things, okay? One, a reflection, and two, a step forward. So first, for the reflection, take a second and ask yourself, if an emergency happened next week, how would I respond? Would I feel calm or would I panic? Would I be okay for a week, a month, or not at all? Now, flip the question. What would change if I had even a small emergency fund built up? What stress would it take off your shoulders? What freedom would that give you in your day-to-day life? You don't need a perfect plan, but you do need to be honest about where you're starting from, so you can make a real plan to move forward. Now, the second part, let's finish with a call to action. So here's your challenge. Your challenge leaving this presentation. Take one step, just one, in the next 24 hours. Maybe for you that looks like opening a separate savings account. Or maybe automating a transfer, even if it's only $5. Or maybe it's naming your fund so it has a purpose. Or maybe listing 3 real emergencies that would justify your fund so you can start setting up the rules and boundaries. Or maybe it's setting a savings target based on your expenses so you can start to see the number that you want to aim for. Whatever it is, pick one step that makes your emergency fund more real today than it was yesterday. Because the best time to build your safety net is before you need it. Now look, you've learned the tools, you've got the vision, now take the step. Your future self will thank you. So go away with all of this knowledge and take your savings and emergency funds and build them into a real safety net that you can rely on, into a system, something that's motivating. Go build that fund. So thank you so much for taking part in this presentation. I hope you learned a ton. I hope this benefits your life, and I wish you the best in all of the steps that you're going to take to build a saving and emergency fund. And remember, not just for safety, but so that you can have better peace of mind and sleep at night, knowing that if something horrible happened, you would be okay because you are well prepared and well planned out. So thank you so much, and I hope you have a great rest of your day.